Welcome to Plastic Model Mojo, a podcast dedicated to scale modeling as well as the news and events around the hobby. Let's join Mike and Kentucky Dave as they strive to be informative, entertaining, and help you keep your modeling mojo alive.
All right, Majovia, welcome to episode 149. We are sneaking up on the halfway mark to our second 100 episodes. Kentucky Dave, what about that?
I'm telling you, 150 is going to be a big one, but 149 is a big one too because we got a good guest.
Well, won't you introduce our third chair tonight, Dave? I'll let you do it.
Our third chair tonight is somebody we saw last weekend and somebody we're going to see 2 weekends from now, Jeff Groves, Inch High, the modeling guy, who was at the MMCL show. Our table was next to his. And so we got to spend basically an entire day talking modeling. Jeff was kind enough to bring us some stuff from his lending library. And we're going to I'll be going through that probably for a couple of weeks. You okay, Jeff?
Yep. Hello, Greater Mojovia.
Well, good, man. Glad to have you back.
So, Jeff, did you have fun at the MMCL show?
Oh, I'm telling you, that Louisville show I always look forward to it. It's one of the better shows in Region 4. Always a good time. Great raffle, great show, great friends. It's just one of the highlights.
I saw that you entered a few models there. That KI-43 looked really, really nice. That's the first time I've seen it in person. That was impressive in a group of really impressive 72nd scale single engine aircraft.
That was a loaded category this time. There were so many entries.
Yes, there were.
It was crowded.
Now, you had a table, so you were doing the same thing I was. We were both trying to sell off stuff from the estate that you so kindly alerted me to, and we went up and helped rescue books, and now we're finding them good homes. I found good homes for about probably 15 to 20 of them. How'd you do?
I sold several. I didn't do as good as I thought I was going to do or had hoped I was going to do. I had marked the prices way down past where I would have bought them myself if I didn't already have them. So
yeah, I did the same thing.
I was just trying to move them out and blow them out and spread it around a little bit.
Yeah,
well, you'll get another chance in Cincy.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. I think that'll work out. The guy next to my table was also selling books, and he was selling them a lot quicker and a lot more volume than I was, and I couldn't figure it out. I solicited some advice from some people that gave me some pointers. So my flaw there was I think I was trying to vend how I would have liked to have seen a table full of books, and that's not the presentation that other people may have been more attracted to. So I got some good advice.
You'll try it up in Cincinnati the other way and see if that does indeed make a difference.
Yeah. I hope it will.
Yeah. Well, let's see. You supplied Mike and I with reading material. We all got to hang out together. Mike, what's besides going to the MMCL show? What's up in your model sphere?
See, now you're encroaching on my territory, Dave. After I let you introduce the guest, now you're just taking a mile, man.
Hey, I'm trying to help carry your load, man.
Jeff, other than selling books, is there anything else up in your model sphere?
The only other modeling related thing is Friday night, my son and I watched Greyhound with Tom Hanks in it. I hadn't seen that yet, and the library finally got it in, and I dashed down there, and we ate a lot of popcorn and watched Tom Hanks sing some U-boats.
How was it? Because I have not seen it yet either.
Well, I have a love-hate relationship with those kind of movies. I love to see the animations and the action and everything, and it's just, it's eye candy. But it kind of wears thin on the accuracy and the plot in places, but it's good overall.
Well, being a Navy guy, I'm sure you noticed stuff that that many of us wouldn't.
Yeah, well, maybe, but some of them were kind of just, Hollywooded up. And, the frustration is, as you well know, there are so many excellent stories that came out of the real history that you kind of wonder why they feel the need to embellish things.
Sure. Yep, I agree.
That way they don't have to go read anything. They can just make it all.
Well, that's actually after a novel by C.S. Forrester, The Good Shepherd.
Yeah.
So, he's a quality writer.
A really good novel.
Oh, yeah.
If you haven't read it, go ahead and get it and read it. It's worth it.
Well, Dave, what's up in your model sphere?
Well, really good contest. Got to hang with good modeling friends, not just Inch. Got to see a lot of the MMCL guys. Got to see a number of listeners. Again, got to find homes for books, and that's kind of my goal with those things. Is I'm not trying to really make money. I'm just trying to find people who would appreciate these books and get them into their hands so that, they'll be taken care of. I like modeling season, contest season. MMCL is barely behind us, and I'm already anticipating Cincinnati. My mojo is high from my model sphere. How about you?
Well, mine's been mostly administrative in the context of this segment. We got some stuff we're trying to get laid down for, I guess, the fourth quarter here of the year.
Yeah.
I've got a couple of irons in the fire that I'm trying to get going. I can't say much about them, so I don't even know why I'm bringing them up. But one of them involves something we're doing in November, and the other involves just general podcast stuff and visibility. So looking forward to that. We've been kind of running pretty good here the last few months, and we're going to lay the foundation to keep that trending in the right direction, I hope.
Yep, I agree. So we are recording tonight. That means modeling fluid. Inch, do you happen to have modeling fluid?
I do. I'm violating my self-imposed prohibition tonight.
Okay.
And I'm having another Blue Moon Belgian wheat just because I like them so much.
They're good. That is an excellent drinking beer. I'm telling you what, when I go to some place and I want to have a beer and I look on tap, if it's nothing but the mass market, Michelob, Bud, etc., I will always get a Blue Moon.
Yeah, it's been my favorite for years, and it will certainly get me through the episode.
Good. So, Mike, you have a modeling fluid?
I've reverted back to my former staple. I've got a little bullet orange label tonight.
Oh, good choice. Good choice.
I'm a little into it now because I bought it Friday.
Yeah.
I bought it just ahead of the weekend, so I'm into it pretty good now. But man, that first one after drinking that Russell's 10 was glad that wasn't the review taste for the episode.
Yeah.
But it's an old standby, so we'll be fine.
Well, my modeling fluid is something for those who prefer their modeling fluids non-alcoholic. Mine is Trader Joe's organic sweet tea and lemonade, also known as an Arnold Palmer. Trader Joe's markets this stuff. You can buy it in the bottle, already pre-mixed, already pre-made. And since I'm recovering from a little bit of a stomach bug, I want to try and take it easy on my stomach. So I'm having a non-alcoholic modeling fluid, and I went with an Arnold Palmer.
That'd probably be pretty good with some bottom shelf plastic ring jug Jim Beam or something in it.
It probably would, but again, that would do, and I've got that. I really in the bar, I've got that, but no, I'm taking the night off, hoping to recover recover back to my pre stomach upset.
While you're doing that, we ought to get into the listener mail.
All right.
Well, guys, we've had a deluge of emails regarding model show spotlight, which typically we don't address in this segment because we've talked to those folks and hit them up with the model show spotlight, which we are scheduling right now. I think we have hit critical mass with that.
Yes.
We are certainly going to probably hit a high tide with that for this month.
Yeah,
for November.
of course, this is the busy part of the fall season.
You're right. It is. So it won't last. The moon phase will change and the tides will recede. But we had a lot of those.
Yeah.
So we're not going to get into those. Outside of that category, we had but one email.
Okay.
And there was a follow-up. Well, no, it wasn't a follow-up. It's a warning that this email was coming. That's what it was.
Okay.
You know, we had Chris Wallace on, one of our favorite Ottawans, and you kept doing your typical Canada bashing you always like to do.
Oh, okay.
I teased you of creating an international incident.
Yes.
Well, you did.
Uh-oh.
But it was not with Canada, at least not in whole, maybe in part. And I got an email from a Mr. Will Edwards, and honestly, I wanted to use AI to read this in the voice of Foghorn Leghorn. If not Foghorn Leghorn, maybe Don Johnson and Django Unchained.
There you go. I say.
Or maybe even Carol O'Connor in The Heat of the Night.
Okay. I got it.
One of those. You got it?
I got where you're coming from.
I'm not going to imitate that.
Thank you.
I probably could, but I'm not gonna.
Yeah.
Dear Kentucky Dave on the Plastic Model Mojo. So this is not an email to Plastic Model Mojo, Dave.
Okay.
This is an email to you. We write formally in relation to comments you have recently made concerning scale models of World War I aircraft, specifically those crafted in 1/72nd scale. Your remarks, which we consider disparaging and unfounded, have caused undue distress, reputational harm within the modeling community, and an unjust diminution of time, skill, and dedication involved in their creation. Such comments are not only unconstructive, but are reasonably capable of being interpreted as defamatory, given their negative impact on my standing among fellow enthusiasts, collectors, and associated groups. Accordingly, I demand that you, 1, immediately retract your disparaging statements regarding 1/72nd scale World War I models, and 2, issue a written apology within the Facebook group dedicated to World War I models in 1/72nd scale, acknowledging that your remarks were inappropriate and caused reputational damage. Unless I receive a satisfactory written retraction and apology within your next episode, I reserve the right to take further action, including but not limited to the pursuing a claim for defamation and or seeking injunctive relief to prevent further harm. I trust that you will treat this matter with the seriousness it deserves and respond promptly. Yours sincerely, World War I modelers in God's one true scale. So there, consider a one international incident had.
Okay, well, it's funny that you have that email because right after our good friend Steve Hustad listened to the podcast, that same podcast, he reached out immediately to berate me for exactly the same thing. As you know, Steve has built many World War I aircraft models, all in 72nd scale.
And not all from kits.
And
not
won
the Nationals with one, if I remember correctly.
That's right. Won Best of Show with one.
Yeah.
And my response to him is exactly the response I will give to our correspondent here. I was referring to mere mortals, to the average modeler, such as myself. Those who can build in 72nd scale in World War I aircraft in 72nd scale are not your average modeler.
Pause right there, Kentucky Dave. Listeners, if you have some sunscreen, SPF 50 or more, you might want to put it on your posterior right now because Dave's getting ready to blow the Jericho trumpets of sunshine. And you know where it's aimed for.
Yeah, that's right.
Go ahead, Dave.
But those rarefied modelers among us who can build World War I aircraft in 72nd scale, nay, those who can build scratch build in 1/144th scale.
Yes.
they are not the average modeler to whom I refer. They are, for want of a better term, gods walking among us. And we can do nothing but sit back and marvel at their skill. But for the average modeler, the average Joe such as myself, the guy who's the kit assembler, I maintain that my remarks still hold true. And for those thumbless folks such as myself, 48th or 32nd scale is better for World War I.
For Dave.
For Dave and his ilk.
Thumbless Kentucky Dave.
But I will acknowledge that there are those among us who are whispered about in hushed tones that can accomplish amazing feats, including but not limited to building model aircraft, World War I in 72nd scale.
Did you minor in theater?
No, I'm an attorney. That's
It has more to do with the rodeo, Mike.
I wonder if Mr. Edwards is as well. Well, I don't know if you satisfied his complaint or not. Inch, what do you think, man? You building World War I stuff?
I have got a few in the stash. My only comment, I got two comments. Well, one in solidarity with our friend Will. I am, in fact, wearing a Canada t-shirt as we speak.
Well, I don't know if he's in Canada or not, unless you know him.
You're talking about Mr. Wallace.
Oh, Mr. Wallace.
Yes, I'm sorry. The second thing is I had always wished that Wingnut Wings would have broken down into the other scales as well, particularly 72nd. Their stuff is just so fantastic. I've looked at so many in the boxes, and I know where Kentucky Dave was led astray by temptation with that. But they're just beautiful. I wish they'd scale it down. I don't know why these manufacturers don't do that.
Yeah. Well, I do think with the advances in 3D printing and CAD and computer aided tool cutting, I'm not so sure. I mean, Edward has already been doing it with, they'll come out with something in 48 scale and then they'll release the same thing in 72nd. I'm not so sure you won't see more and more of that.
I'd love to see more and more of that. One of my great regrets is that the late great Mr. Tamiya didn't release the armor line they came out with in 48th, also in 72nd.
Yep. And my big regret is he didn't release that P38 from 48 scale into 72nd.
Oh, well, that list is long. There's a ton of those kits that he came out with that would have been just brilliant to scale down.
Yep. I completely agree.
Y'all missed the wrong way signs. Well, I hope Mr. Edwards is satisfied with your response. I'm sure we'll hear from him again. If not, it could be class action, Dave. Here, brush up.
Yep. I'll have to get my litigation skills working.
Well, luckily we got one we got a lot of mileage out of. So, folks,
yeah, there you go.
Please send us more email. I was a little disappointed this month. I love that one. But we came up short. What about on the direct messages? Well,
we don't have a ton of direct messages. I think this probably has to do with the fact that there's a lot of shows going on. There's a lot of interaction going on in the dojo. Plus, we got to see a lot of people that we might otherwise have gotten DMs. We got to see them in person, such as Inch. But we did get a few. First is Mr. Michael Aluzzi, who wanted to, among other things, remind us that MMSI is coming up. I believe it's the same weekend as Cincinnati.
It is.
He also wanted to taunt us by sending us a picture of him grilling out on his big green egg and drinking Gumball Head.
Okay.
And of course, he's a lot closer to Gumball Head than we are.
And he's a lot closer to MMSI than we are.
Exactly. Exactly.
He came to our room and he actually came to Steve and Mark's room, which we were hanging out in.
Right.
And gave us a little modeling fluid. So, hey, we're going to miss him this time.
Yes.
But it's not in the cards. MMSI is not in the cards for us.
Yep.
We made it to a lot of shows last year, Dave.
We did 9 last year.
I'm still not sure how that happened.
Neither am I.
because I'm because now that I'm trying, I can't make it happen.
Yeah, I hear you.
What else we got?
Well, Mr. Haggerty, who I sold the B-25, Airfix B-25 on the dojo, he bought it and I mailed it out to him. And it happened to have the bad fortune to arrive on Saturday, just as he was returning from the West Michigan model show with a bag of models that he had purchased. So he walks in the door. There's a bag of models that he's already purchased. There's a box that he opens up, and there's a model in it. And he said that his wife, who might otherwise have been upset, was willing to be forgiving because it was his birthday. And so he got the birthday free pass. And it looked like he made some good purchases at the West Michigan show. He sent me a picture of the bag and looked like he did well.
Well, I would say just be above the table.
Yes, that's right. Don't try and sneak them in.
You're just asking for trouble.
That's right.
What do you think, Inch?
I think you'll always get caught, but the play here, I think, is to put them in a women's shoebox and bring them in that way.
There you go.
What happens on their birthday when they open the package? It's not a pair of shoes.
That's right.
Honey, here's the B-25 you've always wanted.
Yeah. I don't know. I think
that might not work.
Hiding's a symptom of other things.
Yes. Our friend Dutch Vosberg reached out because they had an AMP show up in his general area up in Connecticut. And he reached out to ask about posting a flyer on the dojo, which of course is always what we want. And I want to use his DM just to remind people, if you have a show coming up and you've got a flyer for that show, and almost every show has a flyer, take a copy of that flyer and post it on the dojo. You know, we can't, as Mike alluded to earlier, we can't do a show spotlight for every show that's going on, especially in the spring and the fall show seasons.
No doubt.
If you've got a show, you are more than welcome. In fact, you are encouraged to. We plead with you to get a copy of the flyer, take a picture of it or take a PDF of it and post it on the dojo to let people know the show's going on. So it's one of the ways, I mean, Mike and I can't keep track of every show that's going on. So it's one of the ways that we're able to keep up with things. So we appreciate you doing that. And I appreciate Dutch reaching out and asking permission, but you don't have to ask permission. Just go ahead and post.
Yeah, please just go ahead and post those, especially if it's just an image of your flyer. I think a lot of folks think they're going to send a PDF or we're going to pin it or put it in a file section. Really, I think if you want more people to see it, if it's just a JPEG or a similar type image file, and you just
photo,
and you just put it in a normal post on the dojo, more people are going to see it, and it's just a lot faster. So if you only have a PDF, just open it up on your computer and take a screenshot of it, and then just post it as an image file, and folks can see it. But we still want folks to at least solicit us for inclusion on the model show spotlight. And another thing I will add is Brandon over at Squadron TV on Wednesday nights is doing this at least on part of his episodes during the month. So that's another outlet. And then we need to probably touch base with Brandon and see if we can not double dip and expose more shows.
Yep.
Got any more?
That's it.
All right, folks, please send us more email. I was a little sad. Well, not really, because I really liked the one we did get. That was
that was only because you like it, only because you could use it to abuse me.
Well, gold hit a high this week, and the email gold did as well. That was really good. So if you want to email the show, please do so by emailing us at plasticmodelmojo@gmail.com, or you can send a Facebook message through the direct messaging system. Or there's a feedback web link in the show notes of this episode or off the website that you can drop us a message there. And they're all the same. It's just quote unquote emails. And we'll get to them, and we love it. It's favorite segment of the show.
If you have not rated Plastic Model Mojo on whatever podcasting app you're listening on, Spotify or whatever you're using, please do so. Give it the highest rating possible. It drives the visibility of the show and gets us more listeners. We continue to grow, and we want to continue to grow. The single best way you can help us grow is if you will go to a modeling friend of yours who you know isn't listening to Plastic Model Mojo, recommend us. If they need help in figuring out how to listen to podcasts, we'd appreciate if you'd help them do it. The number one way we get new listeners is recommendations from current listeners. And I can't tell you how many listeners have reached out and told us that they're listening because a modeling friend of theirs recommended us. So please do so. Help us grow the podcast.
You can also rate the podcast through a web link in the show note. And once you've done that, please check out the other podcasts out in the model sphere. You can do that by going to www.modelpodcast.com. That's Model Podcast plural. It's a consortium website set up with the help of Stuart Clark at the Scale Model Podcast up in Canada. Now, they're on a little hiatus right now, but Stu's still working behind the scenes to keep the website going. You can check out all the banner links to the other websites or the other podcasts there. In addition, we got a lot of blog and YouTube friends in the model sphere, and one of them is with us tonight. Jeff, what's going on at the Inch High Guy?
Well, I'm keeping up with the posts, which
That's
is
good.
Well, yeah, it's a kind of a challenge some days, but the builds keep coming. I have kind of a schedule, kind of an internal schedule. Every Friday, I try to post what I'm working on, and every Tuesday, I post a finished build. So
you're using it as a motivation to finish. That's great.
Yeah, it's going. Going. It's a self-imposed deadline that keeps me on my toes.
Well, you've been on your toes. You it's pretty regular, so good job on that.
Well, thanks.
Well, we've also got Chris Wallace, Model Airplane Maker, who we've mentioned already. Great blog, great YouTube channel. Evan McCallum, Panzermeister 36, YouTube channel there you're going to want to check out. Stephen Lee, Sprue Pie with Fred. Steve's got a great blog, mostly 70-second scale stuff. He crosses over into model railroading sometimes, but a lot of long and short form information there. You're going to want to check out his blog. And then Paul Budzik, Scale Model Workshop. You can get to him through YouTube and Patreon, and he's always got some wisdom you're going to want to check out. So please check out all our friends out in the model sphere. Subscribe to all they've got going on.
If you are not a member of IPMS USA, your national IPMS chapter, please consider joining. I'm the IPMS Retention and Recruitment Secretary. This is the last term I'll be serving in that office. My goal is to get IPMS USA membership to 6,000 members. We're in the 5,200 range. It's a big goal, but I believe it is possible. If you are not a member of IPMS USA, please consider joining, become a member. I'd appreciate it personally. Help us reach the goal to get to 6,000 members. If you're not a member of IPMS Canada or your own national IPMS chapter, consider joining that as well. Also, if you are interested in armor or post-1900 figures modeling, consider joining the National Armor Modeling and Preservation Society, AMPS, their national chapter. You can Google and find them online. Consider joining. It's a very dedicated group of armor modelers dedicated to the armor modeling craft.
Plastic Model Mojo is brought to you by Model Paint Solutions, your source for Harder and Steenbeck airbrushes and laboratory-grade mixing, measuring, and storage tools for use with all your model paints, be they acrylic, enamels, or lacquers. Check them out at www.modelpaintsolutions.com.
Well, folks, we're going to do a back-to-back shop talk. Got our guest, Jeff Groves, with us and got some topics to talk about. Let's get into it, Dave. Well, 2/3 of this entourage have actually finished something in the last couple of weeks.
I was going to suggest we start with talking about what you finished lately.
Okay, we're done.
Okay. Hey, you take shots at me.
Hey, it's all fair.
Take
it's
a
all
shot
fair,
at you.
my brother.
Well, let's talk to the guy who actually finishes a lot of things first. Jeff, tell me about what you finished recently.
You've got a couple that you finished recently, and one of them was kind of not a surprise. The other one, at least for me, was a surprise. And I'm going to start with that one first. You've kicked out, I think it was the Fine Molds TIE Fighter Advanced. It's in 72nd scale, I assume.
Yes.
There's somebody who's at a lot of the shows we go to who's had several of those.
Of course.
Now, they're not the newer Bandai kits, but the Fine Molds. These aren't, they're not terrible either. What possessed you to build this subject?
Well, you want to go outside of your normal genre every once in a while, just as a skills exercise. But I was going through the stash, and this thing just jumped out at me, and it kind of inspired me to make an unusual diorama out of it. You guys and I had talked about putting models on bases and temporary bases and permanent bases and all that. And I thought, I'm going to put this sucker down on the moon and have an astronaut looking at it and kind of scratching his head. What the heck's going on with this thing? The challenge of this one is I got to looking at the rear part of the TIE Fighter, and it looked to me like there were some access panels back there. And I thought, wouldn't it be cool to open those up and open the top hatch up and have an abandoned TIE Fighter with footprints leading away from it and the astronaut wondering what the heck is going on, and let the viewer fill in all the blanks. Where is the pilot? Was the pilot Darth Vader? Is he sneaking up on the astronaut? Did he walk away all in a huff? What happened to him? Et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. What's Star Wars doing on the moon? Blah, 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 blah.
Well, let me back up real quick.
And
why was this kid in your stash?
Yeah. I'm not exactly sure. Either my son snuck it in there. He's a big Star Wars fan. Either he snuck it in, or we decided we were going to do that someday and he lost interest, or I got it as a contest win in a raffle. I don't know. There's a couple others in there as well. And I know at least one of those came from a raffle, but the kit's a good kit. It's a Fine Molds kit, and it's like you would expect from a Fine Molds kit. It's Fine Molds / Hasegawa quality. It assembled quickly. It was a fun build. It was outside of my wheelhouse, and I got to do something the guys at Lucasfilm did on the original Star Wars filming models. Is they famously went to a hobby store and bought the hobby store out and used all the bits and pieces from various model kits to make the Star Wars models. And if you look at things like the Millennium Falcon or whatever, you can see the engine deck from Tiger Ones and just all kinds of parts if you're used to looking at that stuff. And so I raided my spares boxes and filled the detail in these access panels, and I had a lot of fun doing it.
Well, it looked great. I mean, I've got to say, it really looked fantastic.
Well, thanks. I had fun doing it. The one really unusual thing, and this is unique in my experience. I've never seen this before, probably never see it again. It turns out that if you are a dedicated Star Wars fan, there is more than one proper size for all of these ships. Apparently, the studio for each of the original 3 movies, or maybe into the 3 prequels or whatever, they redefined the dimensions for what a TIE Fighter is and what a X-Wing is and what the Millennium Falcon is. So the Fine Molds licensure went with one of these paradigms, and the Bandai went for another. So if you take a Bandai TIE Fighter and a Fine Molds TIE Fighter and put them next to each other, they're different sizes in the same scale.
I did not know that.
I didn't either. When in my research, I came across that. There's also a hotly debated topic about what color you should be painting your TIE Fighters, if you can believe that.
I believe it.
Wait, modelers arguing over what color something is? That never happened.
They're counting rivets in a galaxy far, far
There you
away,
go.
it turns out. There is one camp that says that the filming models were actually a blue-gray. Some say it's equivalent to the Navy haze gray. Some say it's a little bluer than that. And there's others that say that on the actual film, if you look at the movie clips, they have washed out in the lighting or the editing to a light gray. So if you want to do it as it's on the screen, it's a light gray. If you want to replicate the filming model, it's a blue gray.
And what are the odds that these were painted with some jar stock bottles of Flocal railroad paint?
That's right.
Yeah, probably, or something out of Home Depot.
Yeah, that's
Who
right. A
knows?
spray can out of Home Depot.
Exactly. And, that kind of modeling is interesting, but I would not like the time pressure with that. Hey,
It sounds like you really went down a rabbit hole with this thing.
well, I enjoyed it. I do like to research what I'm getting ready to build and try to get it accurate. But then it occurred to me, I'm building a fantasy ship that never existed. How accurate should it be or could it be? And when I got into where the source material couldn't even agree on the dimensions of the thing, I thought, well, I'm going to have a lot of fun building the inside of this thing.
Yeah.
Now, it turns out that there are references for what's inside of all these ships. There's a DK book that is in my son's collection of Star Wars ship books, and he kindly let me borrow it for this build. And the artwork is just fascinating. And the old school draftsmanship, if you see some of these original drafted things from World War II, or another example is in this book, they're meticulous.
Mhm.
They're wonders to behold, just the artwork of this stuff. And it was, I was inspired by it, but I did not feel obliged to replicate everything I saw. Let me put it that way.
Given that this was outside your wheelhouse, which we've talked about quite a bit on the podcast, what are your kind of takeaways from that project?
First, it was a lot of fun, which is the whole point of what we do. It was a lot of fun. There was some relief from the burden of getting everything technically correct like you would on a historical build. Opening the panels up was an exercise in widgetology, and it was a lot of fun. And I like the idea of playing with the viewer and letting the viewer fill in the blanks. I didn't want to tell the whole story. I wanted to set up the premise. This is the opening scene of the movie. And, the guy's imagination can take it wherever you want to take it. As far as a skills exercise, I didn't really try anything really new. I don't normally base my models, at least not permanently. So I did it with this one, and I've done that before, but it was nice. It makes a great presentation in a small footprint, which is always a good thing for a diorama in my mind. And it wasn't too crowded. I had one ship and one guy and told the whole story.
Does this incline you to go build another Star Wars model sometime?
I wouldn't be disinclined. I'm not looking to make a Star Wars collection,
Right.
but I do see the allure of those ships. They were revolutionary in my mind because they were the first science fiction franchise where the ships weren't pristine, scrubbed down, pearly white, everything's clean.
Right.
They were dingy, dirty, had been lived in, had been repaired, had been, scavenged and that sort of thing. So you get the whole weathering attraction that you would with, say, an armor build or something like that. You can go down that rabbit hole with these ships, and it was fun. It was fun.
Well, good.
Well, I'm going to go down that path at some point. I think I'm going to go bigger. I keep talking about the AMT recently released their 32nd scale TIE fighter. That's
Wow.
one I would like to do. And there's some of the 72nd scale, either Bandai or Fine Molds, whichever I can find, that I'm interested in doing as well. And would you ever do one to the kind of, I don't want to say standard, but to the same kind of endpoint that you build your 72nd scale aircraft?
In what respect?
Oh, an X-Wing or a Y-Wing or something like that, or another TIE fighter built outside this diorama idea you did, and kind of approach it as a, one of your other standard aircraft projects.
Yeah, they're interesting ships. They're an interesting concept. You do run into, with the TIE fighter especially, apparently every place you see them, they're hanging from some kind of girder arrangement. So you could build a hangar full of these things all hanging from the ceiling, and that would be interesting. But that's a kind of an Uber project. I think with the Rebel fighters, they all have some kind of landing skid under them of some sort, and so they could sit on a shelf. But yeah, I could see building some sort of mini collection of them. It wouldn't be something I'm jumping up and down to do at this point, but if if I got drug into that, it opened up that box one night when there's nothing on the bench, you could very easily make a collection of
Well,
these things.
you've said you've got a couple more in the stash, at least one, maybe more than one. Tell us again, what made you start this particular one?
It was just serendipity. I was going through my stash and I saw that, and the idea hit me. The model has 2 Darth Vader figures in it, one seated and one standing. And I got to looking at those figures and I thought, man, that'd be kind of cool to, pose as for a photo shoot, if nothing else, standing around next to something. And pretty soon I had the thing on the bench and I'm cutting the sprues away.
Well, good. So juxtaposition against that one of your recent builds, you've built an F9F as well.
Yeah, I did a batch of Navy fighters from the 50s. I did that just prior to the TIE Fighter. No, that was 2 builds prior to the TIE Fighter. I did those. I did a Sky Raider, a Bearcat, like Dave was building. He was talking up the Hobby Boss Bearcat, and I thought, well, I got to see one of these things. I did 2 Cougars and a Panther in that build. And those are old Hasegawa kits from, I think, the 90s. No, they're earlier than that.
Yeah, they're earlier than that.
They're earlier. But you can still find them, and they're cheap, and they go together well. I like the simplicity of these kits, as opposed to some of the, Warren brought the Spitfire, IBG Spitfire double boxing.
Yes.
And
oh my God.
There's more parts in the cockpit of that Spitfire than there are in the whole box of the Panther.
Yep.
It's amazing. Yeah. But, I see the attraction of both. Sometimes you want a simple, straightforward build, and you can get, I think Acrylic makes the decal interiors for those Panthers and Cougars, and they just look beautiful when you put them in there, and you don't have 40 parts to put in to do it. But on the other hand, if you look at the builds of the IBG Spitfire family, they've got a really hot commodity on their hands, because there is every little aspect of that is molded.
Yeah.
But the trade-off's of complexity. You're talking a 200-part kit.
Yeah.
It's got to be pushing that.
For a single-engine 72nd scale aircraft.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
It's a lot.
That's a lot.
Well, I've got an F9 I want to do, but it's...
You're doing one of the early ones, aren't you?
It's the long one, the stretch, the F5, I guess. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah, the Dash 5.
Which is the only kitted version is the Matchbox, which I have, which is not that great.
Yeah.
And it's got this goes back. This got inspired by, who was it? The Model Geeks had a MiG Killer group build, and there was one on the decal sheet from the Las Vegas show.
Yeah.
But it's a Dash 5. So what are you going to do?
Right.
So
put it away and wait for somebody to come out with a new Dash 5 kit.
I guess not. Well, Dave, you just finished something too.
Yes, I did. In the space of time that it took me to finish one model, Jeff finished 15 or so. But I did finally finish the Bearcat. I took it to MMCL just to put it on the table, although that model was never built for individual entry and competition, because the kit itself has some limitations due to its simplified nature. But I finished it. It's a good kit. I mean, if you want a 3-foot model of the Bearcat just to put a particular set of markings on, it's a good kit. Visually, it very much looks like a Bearcat. It looks good in overall glossy blue. Thanks to Dr. Geldmacher, I have an unusual set of custom markings on it for the Norfolk Naval Reserve squadrons from the early 50s. And this model, I will be meeting Dr. Geldmacher in Murfreesboro in November to hand this model off to him so that he can put it in the Hampton collection and he can keep the Hampton collection together.
Well, I'm glad you got it done.
I am too.
Now, did you have any takeaways from this build?
Yes. I still need to get a lot better, particularly places I need to pay attention to. The canopy interface with the fuselage of the model. I always seem to have some sort of less than ideal setup there. The connection never seems to be quite as good as I want it to be. Dr. Geldmacher, as I said, had some custom decals made. Now, he used the railroad decal company, Mike, that I think you're familiar with.
No, the name escapes me at the moment, but we'll go with that.
And I'll be honest with you, when I first got the decals and looked at them, I was like, there is no way these are going to work and be opaque and all of that. But they really did work quite well. I was shocked and surprised. And thank gosh he did those, because there's no way I would have been able to do that kit otherwise. And the final thing that you come away with, especially if you built a Corsair or a Hellcat, the final thing you come away with is you realize how small the Bearcat was. I mean, that aircraft is like half the size of a Hellcat. It's amazingly small. And the idea that you were going to fly those in combat, our grandfathers had stones, man. I'm telling you.
That was one of the goals of the design, though, wasn't it? The biggest engine you can get and the smallest, lightest airframe.
Right. And what they wanted was a storage to be able to store the maximum amount of aircraft on a fleet carrier and straight line speed, because this whole thing was built to go kill kamikazes before the kamikazes could get to the fleet.
That's right.
It looks like a racing plane in many respects, because kind of it was. But I enjoyed it. I will tell you, I enjoyed the heck out of it.
Well, I hope you get back to some of your regularly scheduled programs now that you got that one done.
Yep. And when we get to the Benchtop halftime report, I'll tell you about that.
All right. Well, folks, I didn't get anything done in the scope of this episode, so we're going to move on. Well, folks, our second topic tonight was also inspired by one of Jeff's blog posts, Improving Efficiency in Modeling Mojo with a Workshop Overhaul. Jeff, you posted the mid-September about revamping your workspace.
I did.
So, folks, we'll link that so folks can go read that. This one kind of will tie into our second episode of this month, but we'll get into that during the second episode of this month. What exactly did you do, and how did it work out for you?
And why?
Well, I had finally gotten to the point where I was encountering enough minor frustrations that between builds, I bit the bullet and I said, I'm just going to straighten out, organize, clean everything down in the work area. Now, normally between batches, and as many of your listeners will know, I build in batches. I usually build 4, 5, 6, 7 at a time. But then when I get that batch done, I don't start anything else. I clean the bench off. I get a perfectly clean bench. I scrub it down, and I'm ready to start the next batch. Well, this time I went over and above that and went a little further. I cleaned out the drawers. I cleaned out the stash. I reorganized my spares. I reorganized my paints. I finally hung my airbrush hoses up, which I can't believe I hadn't done that. Just went through and got rid of all the little things that bug you when you're sitting at the bench. And part of this is I'm always looking for something that I can do 1% better. I am competing with myself of last week and trying to do just a little bit better, a little bit more efficient, have a little bit more fun, get a little more productivity, whatever little genre, little niche you want to take that angle on. But I'm trying to improve all the time. And I thought it's finally time to get all my paint sorted out, so I'm not looking through the paint drawer for 5 minutes trying to find the right color, and get my evergreen sorted out and get my spare parts sorted out so I can find what I'm looking for and just get everything organized. And it was time for a cleaning anyway. The stash was all disorganized. I had spare parts in old model boxes, so you pick up the box. Is this the one that's got the track in it that I want to glue to my Sherman or whatever? It was just time, and it felt good to get everything finally put away, organized, and where I can get at it good.
And how long did it take you beginning to end?
About a week. And a lot of that was getting the spare parts organized, because for years I had taken, when I finish a model, the unused stuff had gone in a box of like kits that I had finished. So I might have a box full of German armor parts. And then I might have 2 boxes of German armor parts. And then I might have a box of American armor parts. And then I might have a box of Luftwaffe drop tanks and that kind of thing. And then pretty soon, which box is which? And if there's something you want, particularly something that's like a piece of ordnance or a machine gun for a rear cockpit on an aircraft or something, you got one, but which box is it in? And I'd finally had enough of that, but I just decided to eliminate all the little frustrations and kind of streamline everything. And it was a good feeling. And I had a good setup to start with. My bench is how I want it. I used kitchen parts, kitchen cabinetry, and put a bench top on it. I put glass on that. I've got lighting up above. I've got stereo speakers in the overhead so I can listen to you guys on a podcast or put in Pink Floyd or whatever it is I want to do. And I've got a nice little setup in a corner of the basement down there. But the peripherals around that, I have, I don't know, a dozen folders with decals in them that weren't labeled. So I think this one's my Japanese folder. Oh, no, it's another American folder.
Dave's head just exploded.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just the minor frustrations that kind of get in your way and slow you down. And that can lead to, do I really want to go down to the bench and try to find that machine gun first? That kind of thing. And that hesitancy sometimes can lead to you not even going down to the bench that night.
I feel you.
Yeah. Watch TV instead, or doom scroll on the phone, or something else.
Sure.
Equally dumb, right?
Yep. But I took the better part of a week between batches and got everything organized, and it was a good feeling when it was done.
Yeah, I really need to do this.
Me too. Did you find yourself throwing away a lot of stuff?
Oh, I did. I probably threw away, I don't know, close to 40 old model boxes. Many of them had parts in them. I kind of saved the old boxes that are top opening to use as trays. We all hate the end opening box, so you can't really work with that on the bench. So when I get one of those, I take the old top opening box and use it as a tray and dump all the sprues in there. And if you look at my bench, often you'll find a box from something I built 3 years ago with the new build parts in it, because you can't work out of a end opening box. You're going to lose something.
Yeah.
Well, I've got boxes in my stash that I've robbed from, and typically I'll take a paint marker or a Sharpie and write on the end of the box that I've done that. But did you have that situation where you had kits that were maybe not complete anymore?
I tend not to rob kits. That rubs me the wrong way. Now, there is something you do that to me is an exception to that. You will kit bash a lot of times and take 2 or 3 kits and put them together, and I've done that. And then I'll have one of those boxes with all the excess parts and then the build that's in the case. But I don't take just one bogey wheel out of something because it looks better, and now I've got a kit that's minus the bogeys or something like that.
Yeah, mine are usually a little more in-depth than that, but still I try to mark the boxes so I don't pick one as a project and then find it to be less than complete later.
Yeah.
That could be frustrating. Well, Dave, what do you got to do in your shop? You're always trying to organize stuff. I mean,
first thing I need to do is I need to throw away 10 to 15% of the paint bottles I have. Then I need to organize the rest. And I've got no excuse for not organizing because I've got a old Model Master paint rack that club member Randy Fuller gave me.
But I don't think those are as useful as you think they were going to be.
They hold Mr. Color, they hold Model Master, obviously.
But they were made for 8 to 10 of the same color in each row.
Yes, that's
so
right.
If you got one or two of each bottle, you can't. You start putting those in the same row, and now you're not organized again.
Right. Well, you could. There are some ways to organize that, where you can put, say, the thing that you can label them, you could put 2 or 3 different colors in each row, and have them clearly labeled. So. I need to organize the paints is probably the first thing. A general cleanup and organization of my model bench, because I find myself modeling on a postage stamp. I've got so much, I've got a 13-foot bench and I am modeling on a space the size of a postcard because I've got stuff everywhere. Well, I kind of shove the microphone and boom out of the way, or my video camera. But, there's sanding sticks everywhere, 20 different bottles of adhesive, just all sorts of stuff. And it's all spread out everywhere. And it just needs to get organized. It's hard to say it any other way than organized. A place for everything and everything in its place, and one that makes sense, at least to me.
I'll tell you a trick that'll help with that.
I want that.
When I go down to the bench, before I sit down, I make it a habit to put something away. And when I get up from the bench, when I'm done with that session, ready to go back upstairs, I put something away. And just putting those two things can lead to your bench not being cluttered over time. And of course,
I can believe
nothing
that.
stops you from putting all 7 tubs of paint away. You could do that, but just get in the habit of when you go down there, what am I not going to use today? I'm not going to sand anymore. I'm putting all my sanding sticks away. And then when you get up, what are you done? I'm going to put all my paintbrushes back in their holder. It can be as simple as that.
And what I do find is, let's say I've used, this is an example because it's right in front of me. Gator Grip thin blend white glue. And I used that. I was using it on the Hellcat canopy. And I used it. And what did I do? I just sat it on my bench in a first clear space that I could find. Okay. And over time, if you continue to do that, you have everything everywhere all at once. And it leads to me searching for everything. And so maybe I need you to come down and help me organize my model room.
It sounds like with the gator glue and everything, I'd probably glue myself to your bench in a few minutes.
Yeah, well, I love the gator glue. But yeah, it needs that. And I have done some, organizing with drawers and things like that. What I really need to do, and I actually have started to do, is label the drawers. Because you can put stuff in drawers, but if you don't remember what thing is in what drawer, you will find yourself spending 20 minutes pulling open every drawer to look for the item that you're looking for.
How many drawers you got?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27,
I think
28,
we know the problem
29,
now.
30, 31,
Yeah,
32,
I see your
33,
problem.
37. That's a rough count. 37 drawers.
Oh, my.
So, yeah, but getting one of those P-Touch label makers and labeling everything, now I know when I look over that my photo etch bender and my chopper are in that drawer, My rulers, calipers, punching dies, and drills are in that drawer. And that alone saves me the time of going and looking for stuff, as long as I remember to put it back in the proper place, as opposed to just looking for an empty spot on the bench and putting it there.
Man, that's a lot of drawers.
That is a lot of drawers. But I got a lot of stuff, man.
Well, folks, check out the blog post September 12th on Jeff's Inch High Guy blog and get inspired to clean up your workspace a little bit. Well, this final topic for Shop Talk comes from Steve Anderson's A Guided Journal for Modelers. And it is, what change could you try in displaying your models? And Jeff, you already talked about one of yours with your Star Wars thing.
Yeah. Basing.
Anything else come to mind?
Well, it's funny this one came up. I came across on Facebook Marketplace a seller that was selling a bunch of acrylic shelves. And I have an alcove in my basement that when I remodeled the basement years ago, I put lighting in. I thought someday I'd like to have shelves in there. And this guy I ended up buying 45 4-foot by 18-inch plexiglass sheets, and I'm going to put shelving in that alcove. And that's going to be my model display.
Cool.
Yeah.
That's going to hold a lot of models.
It'll hold a lot of models. I have 6 display cases in my basement right now, and they're full. They're full. But this Wallow models is something I've always kind of had in the back of my mind. I want to do that someday. And this was the opportunity. He was selling them cheap. And I asked him, I said, how did you wind up? He had like 96 of these things. I said, how did you wind up with all this acrylic? And he said, well, he worked for a data company and they were moving back into their building. They were, the back to work thing. They're not letting their guys work from home. And so they were moving up the floors in their building. And when everybody left was COVID. And before they left, they put those acrylic sheets everywhere as sneeze guards all over the building. And their boss apparently told him, said, I want these things gone and I don't care what you do with them. So he loads them in the back of his truck and he's been selling them on Facebook Marketplace. But the point is, there's probably, if you think about it, a lot of acrylic sheet out there to be had in various businesses.
Was that young man named Jack Basket? Because that sounds exactly like something Jack would
My
do.
son is not arbitraging decommissioned acrylic sneeze guards.
Well, but come on, admit it. That's not outside of the range of possibilities of something.
Only because he hasn't thought of it.
I was going to say, and not only that, he would make good money at it too.
Yeah. This guy I don't know if he's, how much money he's made off of it. He made some off of me for something they were going to throw away. And it's something I'll be able to use. So we both won.
That he had zero in, probably.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
And somebody paid market for that raw material when they put that crap in.
They paid a bunch of money to get it and even more to cut it and hang it, if you think about it.
Yes.
Or whatever it was, they set it in there.
They did.
And then he got paid to take it out, probably on company time, and he's moving it out.
And got to keep it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, that sounds pretty cool, man. So assume we'll see a blog post once that gets rolling.
Yeah, it's going to be a project. It's going to take a while to get that one done. But yeah, I will show that off when I get it where I want it.
Dave, you got one? You got a display, something you've been meaning to try?
Something I've been kicking around in my head and I have not come up with a solution for yet. I would like to have, at least for World War II single-engine aircraft and maybe small jet aircraft, a universal base. A base that's not a terrain base or anything like that, but a single style of base that is attractive looking, that is of uniform size, that I can take to shows and put my models on, or permanently attached to, either one or both, thinking about both ways. To have an attractive universe, because I think a model on a base looks, if the base is well done, okay, if it doesn't detract from the model, if the base is well done, I think a model on a base can make the display of the aircraft more attractive. And I've kicked this around in my head. I've come up with a couple that I've done one-offs of just to see, but I haven't been able to come up with anything that I find fully satisfying.
Well, it sounds like an interesting idea.
Yep. Well, you'll see if you go to model contests, you will see occasionally a modeler who has done this, where you'll walk along a model table and you'll see 3 or 4 aircraft enter. And I'm just talking about aircraft. You don't see this as much in armor because so many armor models are displayed on a terrain style base.
Yeah.
If they're displayed on a base, but you'll see it where you'll walk along and there will be the exact same base under 3 or 4 models. And like I said, it has to be an attractive base. It has to be well done. It has to not detract from the model. But if it's well done and if it is attractive to the eye in and of itself without being distracting, I think it really does it draws the viewer's eye to the model.
I've got my own thing I want to try.
Which is?
I want to build one of these in-flights on one of these blurred terrain bases.
Oh, yeah.
I like those. Yeah.
What I don't know is when you're looking at the whole thing on the table, does it work or is it the photography that's making this work? Where you get like cropping out all the stuff you can't see or shouldn't be in the photograph. I don't know, but I'm not sure. I've got kind of three ideas in mind. I don't know which one I'm going to pick, but I think it's going to be one of the 3. One is I want to do a Vietnam Sky Raider.
Right.
I think that would be a cool one. The other is I've got this fascination with the AH-56 Cheyenne.
Yeah.
And I think that would be a cool one. And then I got this lifting body that I'll talk about in the What Broke Our Wallet segment that could actually be quote unquote in flight, but with a gear down. Yeah. And basically the box art or the famous photographs from the chase plane of this thing coming in for a landing. That would be cool too.
I want to quiz you about that when we get to that segment.
That would be an interesting display. That would be good.
I'm partly responsible for you ending up with that.
Well, it was on the list. You just made me aware that our local hobby shop happened to have it.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what I got in mind. And one of these blurred, I just think the ones that are done well look just really, really cool. It can be really made to work. Do I have the chops to pull it off? I don't know, but I'm going to try with one of these projects. I just don't know which one yet. Odds are it's the lifting body or the helicopter.
Yeah, I want to see that lifting body, man.
What would you do for the rotor on the helicopter?
There is a company that sells these etched blurred rotors.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That if you just put it on a model without the blurred base would look a little ridiculous. But I think I've seen a few that they've incorporated that into you've got a blurred rotor, a blurred tail rotor, and you got a blurred landscape, and your brain kind of connects the dots. Whereas if you just got a thing on a pole on a little pedestal with a blurred rotor sitting on a table, it doesn't quite work as well because you have no reference that it's a model on a stick with a blurred rotor at that point. Yeah.
You got to have some other sense of motion going on there.
Right.
I agree
so
with that.
when you put it all together, it kind of comes across as you intended it to. So I don't know. That's kind of my display thing I want to try. So
yeah,
we'll see if we get there. Well, some interesting ideas, guys. And I want to thank Steve Anderson again for providing us the journal. We've picked a few of these. Well, gosh, I guess we're on our 10th one, Dave.
Yeah,
we've been going since January, and we'll continue this through the end of the year. And it's been a fun segment to consider.
Well, you know what? Considering what we just talked about, the upcoming ad is very appropriate.
Bases by Bill is back with quality display bases that enhance any model. From US and Japanese wooden carrier decks to custom-sized cherry hardwood bases, Bases by Bill display bases are available for any type of model and for any size. Oh, and have you heard? Bases by Bill is now a US reseller for one-man army high-definition paint masks. These masks bring amazing detail to your model, even maintenance stencils. They have to be seen to be believed. And all one-man army products include free shipping. Check basesbybill.com to see the products. Bases by Bill for all your model display needs.
All right, guys, this is the Bench Top Halftime Report. Jeff, we're going to start. We're going to start with you, man. We know what you finished of late because it's always on the blog, but what's going down?
Well, what's going down now is just today I put the dull coat on a batch of U.S. armor subjects and one Israeli too. So modern armor.
Okay.
Ready to come off the bench. Probably finish them up tomorrow. You may be able to help me with this. The laser reflective vision blocks that are on the modern armor. They are kaleidoscopes of colors, and they're refractive. How does a armor specialist such as yourself pull those off?
I don't know. I'm going to be able to answer your question. I know there's some folks out there who do it. I'm just not sure what they're using. So I think you can find a solution.
I know what the old solution was.
What's that?
But I'm not sure it's applicable anymore.
Photo negatives?
Photo film negatives.
Oh.
If you went and got photo film negatives and cut the negative, not the strip edge part, which is just brown, but the actual negative itself, which of course is multicolored, and you cut out the little rectangle and glued it to the vision block, you got that multicolored, multi-hued effect from it. But that's from back in the 80s. That's what guys used to do in the 80s. I mean, good luck finding photo negatives.
Yeah, I've seen some painting techniques on some of the online YouTube things that look pretty interesting, using various clear varnishes, and then you mess with the background in different shades and that.
That's what I was going to think of. Maybe a background metallic, maybe, or something like that, with different clear coats on it that are different colors. I don't know, man. I don't. Modern armor is, I built a PT-76 or finished one right when we started the podcast, and that model doesn't even have periscopes in the hatch covers. I mean, I just built it out of the box. So I don't know. So folks, what's a good solution for modern armor optics?
Either post it on the dojo when you hear this, or send in your emails.
Yeah, in 70-second scale, it's going to be even more of a challenge, I'm afraid. So
yeah,
might not matter.
It'll be fun to do, though. I'll play around with it some and get those things done. But yeah, they're just about ready to come off the bench.
How many models are in this batch?
8 altogether.
Are they all one manufacturer?
No, a lot of them are Dragon, various ages of Dragon, and of course you run into the famous Dragon instruction problem with a lot of these kits. And I think I've got 2 Revell in that batch, and I've got an AAV-7, the Marine Corps amphibious tractor, and it had the old Dragon metal hulls. You remember when they used to come out with the metal hulls and all the issues with that, but it's a neat thing. They're retiring that thing, by the way. I think today was the last day that they had those in service.
Yep.
Yeah, so end of an era.
After they had a training crew drown, they stopped actually practicing with them in the water.
Well, I had actually come ashore in one of those as a midshipman as part of my orientation with what the Marines did, and there is not a dry place on those things if you're out in the surf.
Yep.
The overhead hatches leak. You might as well wear diesel cologne for the next week, because that's all you're breathing when you're in that thing. So, an interesting exercise.
And that convinced you didn't want to be a Marine.
Yeah, well, they got a lot going for them. I mean, I always had a lot of respect for my friends in the Marine Corps, but I did not like those tractors. I did not like any of the small boats that had the diesel exhaust blowing into the boat. The pitching of the sea on a small craft is bad enough, but you start breathing diesel in the middle of that, and you turn green pretty quick.
Yeah.
Don't need face paint.
No, not at all.
Well, Dave, what's up on your bench?
Well, now that the Bearcat's done, I have brought the SAM back onto the bench, and the BT7 is on the bench. But what I've been working on the last week, as anybody who knows from listening to the previous podcast and the dojo, is Jim Bates and I pulled out a kit that we both bought in 2012, the Edward Hellcat, when it was brand new. And we both bought it, anxious to build it in 2012. And both of us put it in our stash and never built it. So because my wife was on a cruise and had a week that I thought was going to be really clear, I decided to do a quick build. Now, life got in the way, work blew up on me, followed by the illness of a pet and illness of me, which stopped me from completing it. But I got pretty darn far along, such that I should be able to wrap it up in another week or so. It's the Edward F6F Hellcat, and I'm building it as a -5 in the overall glossy blue. So might be my second glossy blue aircraft in a row. And it has a tie-in to the current Nationals, because at the current Nationals that just happened in Hampton, I bought a Furball Aero Design 72nd scale F6F5 sheet, which has something like 13 or 14 different markings options for this particular kit. So I haven't even decided which one I'm going to do yet, but there are a number of very attractive ones. And so that's moving along. The SAM I've gotten the dust off of it. I've gotten it up onto the building jig, and I've got it flipped over because where I left it was I was doing the oil wash on the bottom. I had done it on the top and it came out really well. So I flipped it over and I just started doing the bottom, and that and the F6F are the two next in line to get done. And then the BT7 Vespid kit that I started, which was my first link and length track kit ever, which has been frozen in construction. I'm going to get it. In theory, if the dark time does not interfere, I could get all three of these done before the end of the year, which would be 5. And if I do 5, Mike will never hear the end of it.
The Edward kit is a good kit. That's a great Hellcat.
It actually is a great kit. Although, you know what? The fit is amazing. The engineering is great. It's only 13 years old, but when you compare it to a modern Arma or IBG or Edward kit, there's an actual difference. There is still, engineering has still gotten a whole lot better even in that 13-year span. And as good as that Edward kit is from 2012, it's not to the same standard as, say, an Edward kit that just came out last week.
Now, would you say the same thing about the Tamiya Zero?
That's a great question. The Tamiya Zero is the best kit I've ever built. I've built 3 of them. I'm probably going to build another one in 2026. And I also want to get the new fine molds kits, because I kind of like to compare a Tamiya Zero and a fine mold Zero and see if I do think there's been engineering improvements. Although I'll be honest with you, I'm not sure how you would improve the Tamiya Zero kit. There is not an engineering feature I can think of that would make that kit better.
Well, the paradigm now, though, is to try to model every little rivet. And I don't think the Tamiya Zero is riveted, is it?
No, it is not.
There you go. And you talk to Barry and Steve, and
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know.
You sound busy.
Yes, I'm busy, a little scattered, but busy. And meanwhile, Inch is distracting me by giving me a whole bunch of information on the 14-meter Daihatsu Japanese landing craft.
You're always distracted by the Daihatsu. It's a go-to distraction for you.
I know. It is a go-to distraction, but there's so much you can do with it.
Except build it because there's no kit. Yeah.
Because there's no kit. Well, that's where I get a friend of mine who's really good with a 3D printer and CAD.
Have something to print.
To CAD the whole thing up for
nope,
me.
Not happening.
Okay.
Well, you do have a 3-view drawing in that one book.
Yes, I do. But you heard him. I can't talk him into it.
Well, the design of that's got to be time consuming.
Yes, yeah, I would think so because of it has very unusual shapes in it.
Yeah, it's got a dual bow arrangement. I don't think I've ever seen that before.
Right. Yeah, the catamaran style bottom.
Yeah.
That's really, really unusual. So, Mike?
Yeah?
What's your bench been like?
Well, I've got most of the undercarriage and chassis subs done for the Musru race car thingy we're building. Right. I got to start painting that. It's kind of like going to be like an airplane. You got to build paint. So cars are kind of that way. Luckily, it's not a very complicated kit. So there's not a lot of parts, and it's all going to be paint and detail paint and mask and paint. And hopefully I'm going to get to that. I was really hoping to get to it this past weekend, but it just didn't happen. So hopefully coming up. But we were chatting the other night, and I got most of it put together. So that's good.
That's
the chassis, not the entire car.
Right.
For the KV85, I finally found the old On the Mark photo etch set I was looking for. Talk about organization.
That's what I was going to say. Speaking of organization.
Now, it would have been in one of 38 old model kit boxes in my stash prior to the reorganization. Is that where you found it?
No, I've never put aftermarket in the kit boxes. Thank God. That's how you end up selling stuff and not realizing you did it. But I found it buried deep in my aftermarket boxes.
Yeah.
So I took that old photo etch set from 1987 and I robbed it for 2 pieces. And I got those formed up and filed out and got the area prepped on the model, and they're ready to go on. So wasted a lot of time there looking for those things, but ready to move forward on the KV85.
Have you got the radiators and screens?
Screens aren't done yet. Radiators are in. They're all masked over and just waiting to have the screens finished and peel the masking tape off after I paint the model and drop the screens in. So nope, that's on hold, but trying to move forward. I got some screen material I need to try to order off eBay from Asia to see if I can get the right size this time, but I'll get there. It's just slow trying to find the right mesh I want to use.
Do you think you've got it nailed down now as to what mesh you want to use?
I think of the 3 sizes I'm going to order next, one of them will be the right size.
And then you're going to end up with a drawer full of mesh that you haven't used.
Right. I'll have like 6 different 1 meter by I don't know how wide sheets of stuff folded up into little squares, but I'll be ready for the next one. That's for sure.
There you go.
Plastic Model Mojo is brought to you by Squadron. Head on over to squadron.com for the latest in kits and accessories, all at a great price and with great service. Squadron, adding to the stash since 1968.
Gentlemen, I assume we've been buying model and modeling related items. Let's start with our guest, Jeff. Have you bought anything lately? Have you broken your wallet?
My wallet's not broken, but
Did you bend it?
I bent it a little bit at the show. I did not get as much time to go through the vendor room as I would have liked because I was vending myself, but somehow I did manage to come home with another 6, 8, 10 books that I just had to have. I didn't didn't splurge on any kits, but I won a couple in the raffle that are interesting kits. I got a Revell F89 Scorpion.
Yes, great kit.
It turned out to be a great kit.
It is.
I wasn't familiar with it. I opened it up, and the first thing that jumps out at you is that was a huge airplane.
It was a huge airplane. It's one of the few airplanes that looks exactly like what it's named for. And I've got a ton of markings for that aircraft in Air Defense Command gray with different Air National Guard units.
Well, there were certainly a lot of colorful schemes on that aircraft, and it's an unusual, interesting plane, and I'm actually kind of looking forward to putting that one together.
Yeah, and if you haven't been up to the Air Force Museum lately, they have one,
yep.
And it is impressively large.
Yeah.
And because the gear is so low to the ground, I mean, as opposed to walking up next to an F-105 where you're looking up at the aircraft, you can walk up next to the F-89 and you're right there.
And it's a beautiful aircraft. And
it is.
Outside of that, I've got an order that's kind of pending from Kit Links, and I think I got bit by the de minimis controversy or confusion or whatever you want to call it. I think they had to order something from overseas, and they're not sure how to get it to finish my order off. So they've been holding that order, and I'm a little frustrated with that because I had some figures in there that I was going to put in those tanks, and they're probably not going to be here anytime soon now.
Yeah, well, I'm hoping that all clears up.
It will. It will eventually. I see that.
I think it will too.
I take a very optimistic take on that whole thing anyway. I think it'll sort out and it'll be a good thing when it does. So yeah, that's just my 2 cents.
Yeah.
What about you guys?
Mike?
Well, I already mentioned it. Brian, the proprietor of Scale Reproductions, per your notice to me, had stocked the AMP kit out of Ukraine of the Northrop M2 F3 lifting body. Expensive little kit. Oh, wow.
Yes.
That kit's expensive.
Yeah, but nobody else is ever going to do that. I mean,
well, Anagrad did it.
Right, but I mean, this is if you want a modern kit,
plastic,
this is your
and it's a beautiful little kit, but wow. I got it from Brian. He gave me a good deal, and it wasn't much. Well, with shipping, it wasn't any cheaper out of Ukraine. So,
right.
Why not? So looking forward to that one. That one's got a lot of interesting takes because it would scratch the itch of me wanting to try one of these blurred in-flight bases.
Right.
That'd be a good subject for it too, Mike. That would look good.
And it's a bare metal plane, if you can call it a plane.
Yeah.
It's
lifting body.
It's a bare metal lifting body. It's a bare metal vehicle, which is something else I want to try.
It's highly polished bare metal.
And it's got a lot of different tones on it.
Yes.
So it's pretty cool. It's a neat little kit, but
you can get a little video with a screen that you can set next to the completed model playing the intro to the $6 million man.
That kit's about $20 at a linear inch.
Yes. Yeah.
How are the decals in it?
They're nice.
Wow.
They're nice on the paper. Don't know how they are. Don't know how they are going down.
Well,
we'll see.
That's a tempting subject. That's a very interesting aircraft.
It is.
Spacecraft, experimental craft, whatever you want to call it. It's an interesting subject.
Yeah, well, it was, precursor studies for the eventual shuttle glider kind of thing.
Right.
So it's just a really, really cool thing. And man, I've been waiting on that kit to be released for a long time. I just didn't know it was going to be as expensive as it was compared to the size it is. Yeah. Oh, well, I've spent way more on a whole lot less than that.
I hear you.
Well, Brian brought that to the show last weekend. And I also picked up from Azure another Loire 130 flying boat or float plane. Yeah. I've got one, but the canopy in mine looks like an amber beer bottle.
Yeah.
The price was good enough that it was worth picking up to maybe.
Oh yeah, that thing was very, very inexpensive compared to what it was the list price when it came out. You got a great deal.
Lots of modeling enjoyment for the dollar in that kit at any price, though.
Yeah,
we'll just say that.
But when you're done, you have something that you can put down on the table, and it will attract people's eye just because they've never seen it
No, and it was going to go on a cruiser catapult that some little outfit in France was doing.
Yeah.
I hope that guy's enjoying my $100.
Well, hopefully you'll come across a really good set of plans for that catapult, and you'll be able to CAD it up yourself.
Oh, maybe. Well, I bought one more thing at the show, and it was another nostalgia thing.
Okay.
I picked up a really old, probably the first boxing of Airfix's 32nd scale old Bill Bus.
Oh, wow.
Yes, I saw that.
I went back and bought it. And it's just a kit that's always intrigued me. It's by modern standards, it's a dog, right?
Right.
But the figures in it are interesting by the way they're done. And I think they would be a painting challenge, but could look pretty good when you're done. And this kit's strange because the placards on the side of the bus are printed cardboard, and they're like punch outs.
Huh.
And it's just a really interesting, and it's another one of those things that I'd love to just build it as intended right out of the box and see what you can come up with.
See, I was going to suggest that you look around, start down the rabbit hole, because I'm betting there's a whole ton of really obscure aftermarket stuff for that.
In 32nd scale, probably not. I bet there's not.
Don't know.
But anyway, that's what I bought. That's what broke my wallet.
Unlike you all, I went to the MMCL show and I sold. I didn't buy. I actually did not buy one single thing at the show. Now, I will give you, I did order. This is a window into my mental illness. When I decided to start that Edward kit from 2012, I went and I knew right where it was. I pulled it out of my stash. And I realized that's the only Edward F6F that I have in the stash. So I went ahead and ordered a second one.
Loving it that much, huh?
Well, okay. Again, this is a window into my mental illness.
I had decals on the bingo card, just for the record.
I was going to say two things. One, I wanted a backup kit in case I needed to steal something. But B, if I finish the Hellcat and really enjoy it and decide I want to build another one, I don't have a kit in the stash. I'd have to go get one. So why not just go ahead and order it now? And yes, none of that makes sense. And yes, that is a window into my particular little mental illness.
Now, did you order a -3 or a -5?
I ordered a -5.
So
because the kit I'm building, this is a little secret I can tell you. The kit I'm building is a -3, but in every Edward Hellcat box is all the parts for a -3, a -5, and a -5N.
Yeah.
So all of the sprues have all of the parts on them for any version that Edward releases. It's just that, so the boxings where it says -3, -5, -5N is just markings related and nothing more.
Is that all you got?
No. Well, okay, this one's kind of pre. At the show, our friend Warren Dickinson brought the IBG Black Box Spitfire kit.
Yes.
The Mark 1 and Mark 2 that has parts in there to build literally any version of the early Spitfires. It's amazing. Even comes with the 2-bladed prop.
There were at least 5 props in that box.
I know. This thing, guys, it's a new level of kit. I mean, it really is. But he also brought a company called ASK, makes a 72nd scale 3D printed engine and cowl flaps for the Tamiya Zero.
Oh, yeah.
And this thing was amazing. Flat out freaking amazing. As in,
Dave ordered 10 of them.
Well, Dave is in the process. He is trying to locate them stateside because ordering them directly from the manufacturer in Ukraine runs into the problem that Jeff just recently referenced.
At least for
the
now.
de minimis problem.
At least for now.
At least for now.
Yeah.
So I am attempting to locate a stateside supplier so that I can acquire at least 3, if not 4 of them that I'll put away and utilize, because these things, Jeff, you saw them.
They're beautiful. They're just little jewels. They're works of art.
Exactly. Right. They are works of art. And I don't know how it gets any better from that. I mean, unless it comes with a back rub from a physical therapist and, maybe a manicure and a pedicure, I don't know how that kit part or that part gets made any better, any more detailed, any more realistic. The biggest challenge is it's going to be a painting challenge just because it's so well done.
Well, Edward is starting to experiment with what they're calling a hybrid kit now, where many of the components are exactly what you're describing. They are these super high detailed resin mono-piece inserts where you have not a 40-piece cockpit anymore. You have a one-piece cockpit that is more detailed than anything you could put together.
Right. Which may or may not be a painting challenge.
Well, it's certainly a painting challenge. I don't know how popular that's going to wind up being, but it's an interesting concept.
And you notice Arma has done the same thing.
Yes.
Where they are now selling separately interiors for all their 72nd scale aircraft kits, 3D printed interiors.
Yes. Yes.
And just amazing stuff.
And that
absolutely,
that may be the way out of this de minimis situation, where a manufacturer develops the CAD files and then licenses a production in the United States, sells the intellectual property, and the actual production and distribution is all handled within the borders of the U.S.
Right, because let's face it, it's not like you're having to set up a giant factory with big machine tooling and all of that. You need a little warehouse space with a whole bunch of high-end 3D printers.
Exactly. Or you could even go the route that Hobby 2000 goes and license the molds, have them shipped over here, and then run your 500 or 1,000 short run of an existing kit with masks and decals and all that, and package that and distribute it just within the U.S.
Yep.
So
no, I agree. So
anyway,
that has pre-broken my wallet. I don't have them yet. I haven't ordered them yet. I am trying to locate them to order them, but consider my wallet fully pre-broken on that one. Okay, guys, we're at the end of the episode. I can tell you my Arnold Palmer has been, first of all, the ABV is 0. I can't tell you how many sugars there are in it. I can tell you it's quite good, quite refreshing, and it got me through the episode, which is what a modeling fluid needs to do. So, Jeff, how was your Blue Moon?
Blue Moon is every bit as good as I remember. It is 5.4%. I just read on the label, alcohol by volume. I miss my Blue Moon. I like my Blue Moon. I would like to have another Blue Moon. It was great.
Well, good. Mike, I'm sure that your Bullet, while not as good as your Russell's, was still pretty good.
That's good. It's just different. The Russell's is a little sweeter, and the Bullet's a lot spicier. But they're both good, and I enjoyed it. It's all gone now, so I'm drinking water.
Well, that's what you should do when you get to the end of your modeling fluid. And gentlemen, we are now truly at the end of the episode, and this is where we do our shout-outs, although in this particular episode, I'm going to do a recommendation rather than a shout-out. So why don't we start with Jeff or Mike? Give us your shout-out.
You got one, Jeff?
I've got 2, and I'll keep them brief. I want to shout out our friend that we've already mentioned a few times in this, Warren Dickinson, came up to the Louisville show He helped me man my table. We got to hang out all day. We got a good steak dinner afterwards. He showed off some various things that we all drooled over. It was just good to catch up with him in person and not have to do it online like we do just about every day.
Yeah.
Shout out to Warren. I'd also like to shout out Mike and Mark Harrison, who I quizzed about how I could improve my vending. And they gave me some good pointers and some good advice and some good, honest feedback. And that is always appreciated. And that's one reason I like modelers as a species. Good, honest guys with not a lot of ulterior motives. And you can count on them to help you out if you ask them. So shout out to those guys.
Those are all great. Mike?
Well, I always want to shout out our contributors, the folks who have chosen to support Plastic Model Mojo through their generosity. You can do that several ways. You could offer us a recurring contribution through Patreon, or you can give us a one-time contribution or manage your own recurring contribution through PayPal. And we also have Buy Me a Coffee or Buy Me a Beer. It's mentioned a couple of different ways depending on where you find it, but you can find a link to all these avenues in the show notes of this episode or the support the show link on the Plastic Model Mojo website. So folks, we really appreciate it. It helps keep the train rolling down the tracks.
And do you have another shout out?
I do. I want to shout out all the clubs and their representatives who have been reaching out to appear on the Model Show Spotlight. It's been It's been fun. We've had a lot coming in, and I'm juggling a lot of those right now. We got several we're going to line up for this month, but appreciate it. And we'll remind clubs, if you want to be featured on the Model Show Spotlight, give us as much advance warning as you can, because we only have a limited number of spots. We can do that and keep it kind of manageable. So we like to pick and choose, try to spread out the geographies, but we're glad to do it. It's a lot of fun for us, and that's kind of our mantra, is supporting local shows. So keep it coming, folks.
Agreed. Now, mine, instead of a shout out, is a recommendation. Have either of you ever seen the movie Cleopatra?
Yes.
I have not.
Okay.
Elizabeth Taylor.
Elizabeth Taylor, Richard Burton.
Yep.
Oh, yes. From the 50s.
It's actually the early 60s.
Okay.
It was a famous production. It was the first production to really just have a runaway budget. I mean, there was a story, which isn't true, that it actually took the studio down. And it's a mess of a movie. And there's some reasons for that, but it's also very compelling. I will tell you that when I'm flipping through the channels, if I run into it, it's one of those movies I have to stop and watch at least a little bit of it. The movie was directed by I think it was it Joel Mankiewicz? One of the Mankiewicz. There are a number of people in Hollywood that are related to the Mankiewicz family. And the name may be familiar to you because TCM, if you ever watch TCM, Ben Mankiewicz is one of the hosts on TCM. Well, of course, this movie and this story has a lot of family connection because it was his uncle that directed the movie and caught a lot of the blame for the failures of the perceived failures of the movie. Now, all that to say, there is a podcast called The Plot Thickens that is put out by TCM every year. The season 6 is the making of Cleopatra, where Ben Mankiewicz talks about and interviews many of his family members about their Uncle Joe, who had died, who was the director on the movie, who was also an Academy Award-winning director and writer. It's 6, 7, 8 episodes long, and it is well worth your time to give you a picture into what movie making was like, A, today, but B, in the 60s, and how things were and how today. It's just a compelling story. You might not think that you would be interested in it. I recommend you give it a chance. The Plot Thickens by TCM. It's a podcast. It's like 6 or 8 50-minute episodes and is well worth your time. So David recommends you listen to that.
Okay.
All right. Well, guys, Jeff, thanks for joining us this episode. We appreciate it.
Hey, I appreciate being on. It's always a fun time.
Jeff, I'm glad you came on, and I'm looking forward to seeing you at Cincinnati, man.
Likewise.
Had such a good time in Louisville. I'm looking forward to it.
We'll do it again under the wings of a B-25.
That sounds great.
Well, Dave, as we always say,
so many kids.
So little time, Dave. And Jeff, thanks again. And hopefully I'll see you in Cincinnati, but I don't know. So have fun with Dave if I'm not there.